Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of what companies are really saying, and sometimes that means they're not saying much at all, which is exactly what we're seeing today. Today we're diving into a filing from Cocrystal Pharma, a company that deals with, well, pharmaceuticals, and what we've got here is a super quick update, a Form 8K, which usually means something important just happened, and in this case it looks like they were busy raising some money. So what's the big news? It seems like Cocrystal Pharma announced on September 12th that they finalized a deal to bring in more cash through a direct offering of their common stock and a private sale of warrants. You know, warrants are like options that give people the right to buy stock later at a certain price. So this is basically them selling stock and giving out these special rights to get more money and maybe get more investors excited. Now, the important part here is understanding why they're doing this. Companies sell stock and warrants for all sorts of reasons, often to fund research, development, or expand their operations, especially in the pharma world where clinical trials and drug development cost a fortune. So this tells us Cocrystal Pharma is likely gearing up for some significant moves or needs to keep its current projects moving forward. This is all happening on the Nasdaq stock market under the ticker symbol COCP. If you're invested in them or thinking about it, this is the kind of filing you need to pay attention to because it directly impacts how much money the company has and how many shares are out there, which can affect the price. The report itself is pretty straightforward. It tells us that on September 12th, Cocrystal Pharma put out a press release saying they've priced this deal. This means they've set the prices for their new stock and warrants, which is a key step in actually completing the fundraising. They've also included a bit of legalese here saying that this press release information won't be considered officially filed with the SEC in a way that makes them liable for everything in it. It also means this information isn't automatically included in their other filings like with the Securities Act. They're basically saying, hey, we're telling you this because we have to, but don't hold us to every single word as if it were part of our main financial statements yet. And what do they attach to this filing? Well, the main thing is the press release itself as Exhibit 99.1. They also have this cover page interactive data file, which sounds technical, but it's basically a way for computers to read and understand the filing easily. Finally, we see the signature here from James Martin, Chief Financial Officer and Co-Chief Executive Officer. This is common practice for these reports to be signed off by a top executive confirming the company's submission. Looking at this filing, it's very light on the actual numbers behind this offering, which is understandable for a Form 8K that's primarily announcing a pricing agreement. We know they are raising money, but the details like the exact amount raised, the price per share, and the terms of the warrants aren't in this particular document. They would be in subsequent filings or in that press release, which we don't have the full text of here. So what does this tell us about Cocrystal Pharma's direction? Well, first, it signals a need for capital in a sector that is incredibly capital intensive. Drug development is a long and expensive process, and companies like Cocrystal are constantly seeking funding to advance their pipeline. From a high-level perspective, this is a sign of activity. It means management is actively working on financing their operations and growth. This is generally a positive signal unless the offering is being done at a deeply unfavorable price or under terms that greatly dilute existing shareholders. But without those specific details, we can only infer the intent. A key thing to consider with these types of offerings is potential dilution. If Cocrystal Pharma issues a lot of new shares, the ownership percentage of existing shareholders can decrease. This can sometimes put downward pressure on the stock price if the market perceives the dilution negatively or if the funds aren't expected to generate significant returns quickly. However, if these funds are crucial for advancing a promising drug candidate through clinical trials or for a significant business expansion, then the dilution might be considered a necessary cost of doing business for long-term growth. In the absence of financial tables in this specific filing, our analysis is limited to the strategic intent. It's a move to secure resources, which is a fundamental requirement for any company, especially in the biotech and pharma space known for its high-risk, high-reward nature. The fact that they are issuing both stock and warrants suggests they might be trying to attract a broader range of investors or provide different investment opportunities. The warrants could be a sweetener to make the offering more attractive, potentially giving investors an upside if Cocrystal Pharma's stock price increases. We'll need to keep an eye on future filings to see the exact terms of this offering and how the capital raised will be deployed. For now, the most important takeaway is that Cocrystal Pharma is actively managing its financial needs to fuel its business objectives forward. Alright, that's our quick decode of this Cocrystal Pharma Filing it highlights a crucial but fundamentally simple action raising money. But remember, the details matter for how this impacts investors and the company's future. What are your thoughts on this money raising move? Is it a sign of strength or a desperate measure? Let us know your take in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, give us a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for more corporate insights just like this one, and don't forget to join our Discord community. For more in-depth discussions and early access to our content, the link is in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Decode.